Okay, so I've given it a little bit of time in between recordings to kind of really decide what the hell I want to do with the ship. And ultimately, looking at it from a distance, it doesn't seem to be too terribly bad there. The wings on the back kind of stick out a little bit excessively. The only real complaint I have about it, but otherwise it's probably not too terribly bad. I still probably will have to alter the engines a little bit because I don't like how that metal sticks out awkwardly. Otherwise, I think I'm pretty much content with this thing. I just don't know still if I want to adjust that bottom piece any or not. Because it seems so simple at first there. The middle piece came incredibly quick, incredibly smoothly. It was almost by accident. And then it's just a matter of having the width and size to make it like actually more than just a simple fighter or drone ship essentially, because this is supposed to be a pilotly warship. Idea, of course, is meant more to support other ships, of course, but it's still a warship there that I'm going to be using and deploying en masse. I don't know how many exactly I want in my fleets, but I still want a good number of them in the fleet. Especially if only 2.5 to their logistics, so yeah. I can get a fair number of them in without too much penalty. And hopefully the missile defense screen actually stacks, so that gives it a nice a quite significant bonus there once it starts once I start reaching that critical mass, whatever it may be. Because I honestly wouldn't know. Otherwise, we're going to get rid of that. I'm going to probably throw on an engine of some sort. And I'm just wondering, do I get rid of this damn engine altogether? I probably want to just get rid of this piece. I don't really care all that much for it. How does it seem if I just delete it? There goes all my hard work. It's just the back piece that needs filling out, which even then it doesn't need to be that drastic. Because it's really just the engine. It's sloped. The slope design actually works well for it. Or for really, well, and not to mention that piece is part of the engine, isn't it? It's not like a second piece on top of it, so that's probably fine as is. So here's what I think is left to do. I want side engines there to kind of represent the warp engines, and then maybe add like some kind of slight cosmetic shell on there, at least a little bit. So the question then becomes, what kind of engines would be good? And how good will it look? Because I don't want them too big. I don't think I want them to stick out too much, but I've been stressing over it quite a bit, and I do want to get this figured out. Probably have to be lowered a little bit so that way it doesn't look like it's going to burn the tail of the ship off in the process, so... So there is something I can do with this there. Although it is going to impact the front a little, perhaps. I could always just adjust the scaling a little bit more if I so need to. So it's not that big of a deal. Heck, proportional scaling that set axis, problem solved. Primarily solved. It's just a question, does that fit? Textures are a little odd, so maybe I have to rotate it still. I can either do it full on like with that top piece or just do it underneath there, because that the electronic components there isn't actually too shabby. I just don't know if I want that or the top portion, like a kind of, yeah, it's a little bit like a shell essentially is what the top is, so I'll have to take a look and see, and then just find a good spot for it that doesn't look too terrible. Because I don't think I want to try rotating it, if I can help it. Yeah, let's see, I'll try rotating it. See how that looks. That's not bad. Clips into the side a little bit, so maybe back it up a tiny bit. Not perfect. Now I just gotta flush. If there's a way to flush it out, I'll probably do that. How could I flush it out though? Is really the question. I am not sure. Because again, this tail piece does like intrude a tiny bit there. So it's going to be interesting, but at the same time they can serve as like an antenna piece towards electronic warfare. If I do decide to adjust this ship to be more of a true support ship rather than just the one equipment piece that I have there, which is the ECM screen that I'm planning to put on it. So it has the option for that, at least, going for it. And otherwise, there's one other thing I want to do. Is it possible to get this cockpit, the front of this cockpit piece, to stick out there and not look awful? Because traditionally all my ships had like a cockpit piece, obviously, because every ship needs a cockpit. I just wonder, how would this look if I were to put a cockpit piece on? I don't like the lighting there, but the metal frame looks kind of decent. Fits relatively nicely there. Just maybe sink it down a tiny bit. That's gonna look, that's kind of weird. I don't know if I like that. Because the light is too small, is my ultimate problem. And I don't know if scaling up would fix that. That actually fixes it a little bit. Still kind of a small cockpiece though, as opposed to the Moth there, which is a lot bigger. So there's no real way to fix that there. Let me try with this other piece. This is more like a capital ship type of cockpit though, so I'm gonna assume it won't work. But I'm willing to try it. Unless I could put it somewhere that will fit well nicely. Relatively nicely. That's not bad. Just a metal trim. That could be easily fixed by sinking in just a tiny bit. It's just that weird discrepancy in the textures, but that actually flows decently. Again, the lights are kind of small, because it's originally designed for like a capital ship. That's my only big gripe I have with it, big issue. I don't know if I want to make it too much bigger. Because there's stuff, as soon as I try and lift it up, there's kind of like the metal starts sticking out again. And of course the metal underneath is a little bit awkward, so let me try. Oh, and now it's sticking out to the side there too is a problem. So that might be an issue. Because what I originally had planned, maybe, was to have it stick out to the front there. Because again, this would make it... The only thing I don't like about it is this seems like a... It could be a cruiser. But with it synced in like that, it actually does fit the size of it relatively well. It's just that back trim need to be mindful of. Don't know if there's any way I can fix that though easily. Not quite that skilled in trying to correct it. Because I don't even think any of these metal frame pieces are shaped in such a way that they're meant to fix it. Or help correct it to an extent. I'm willing to leave it be. It's not exactly the most convenient. The side, the back's a little bit awesome. Maybe I can put a box in, I don't know. If I can make this small enough, maybe that can do it. It needs to be incredibly small though, that's the only problem. And it's also upside down, so let's fix that. I don't think I can get... Don't think I can make it that small, can I? Nope. I got my answer before I even tried, quite frankly. I don't think there's anything I can even do with this either. Which is going to be a hassle. Because it's sloping the wrong way. I know before I tried a piece like this to try and do that, but I don't think it's going to work this time. I don't believe it's going to do it. If I can get the length right though, it can look like it can connect properly with the engine at least though. It's just going to be that awkward end piece there. That could be an issue. Now, let's see, would this piece be better? Not quite. The other end would have looked better. It's just not tall enough to actually sink in, which of course makes the front there look even worse. I'm not sure. Don't think there's a whole lot I can do, but hey, I did get rid of this piece here, so this has been pretty good for filling up those slopes. Maybe I can use that if it can get small enough. That's the big trick. Yeah, because if this piece has been working relatively well for fitting in to those slopes. Mind you, let's see, can I invert the material and then make it? That's going to be interesting. I can't zoom in much more though, that's the only problem, but I may have to extend the width just a tiny bit. The width there, I gotta remember my axis is. Damn it, I keep misplacing them. Otherwise it works well. It doesn't truly fill it in properly because there's a bit of a gap there. Damn it! It's not perfect. But it's an interesting idea. Switch it to the orange kind of makes it look flow better a little bit, at least. Yeah, this is all pointless, isn't it? I'm just too picky for my own good. Having to try and get this all figured out when it doesn't probably really matter. I just like to think I can fill it out, because that's one of the odd things about this designer. Maybe I can create custom pieces in that, like I do have this piece here that I got from when I tried it with the Infestor. I just don't think it's gonna do much for me. So that does it for that. I still think maybe I can fill out the bottom piece a tiny bit, but it would have to be some kind of metal. And otherwise, what do I want for a shell? Is there some simple shell piece I could throw in? Obviously nothing of that scale. Please. I would hope to have it just cover over a little bit. Kind of be like a sort of an exhaust. Well, not really exhaust, what am I saying? But something that can at least cover over there decently. Because it seems to fit in there nicely. Just gotta get the length. Oh, that's not the length anymore. That's not bad. That's actually not too shabby. I just wonder though, if I invert materials would that look better? Not really. I don't think so anyway, because the orange there is kind of like the trim, which obviously it does not look very well there. I like that though. It's simple, elegant, and it actually works. And it's like the only thing I can, at least for the past bit, I can be happy with. So, this is our new ship. Still like Would like a little bit of like a superstructure on the side there, but I am limited on my options for that, I think. I could come back to it again at some point, but for now I am actually relatively content with this. It doesn't look too shabby down on the front. Maybe I can adjust the angles maybe some here for the back. But I just love the idea, if it was possible, to have this kind of rotate in and out for like opening up its weaponry there, of course. This kind of shows the discrepancy a little bit having it out that wide though, so maybe it would be very subtle if I were going to do it, like close like that now, and then open up just a tiny amount to kind of allow for the point defense to do its thing. I really do love that potential. Do I want to do... I don't think I want to do some rotation or anything like that though. It's not going to look as good with it constantly opening and closing. Because really, I would like it to either just be open the entire time or close the entire time. It doesn't really do it for me. So, let's figure out what to name this damn thing. Alright, it's another generic one there, but hey, these naming terminologies are okay by me. The wasp, the beetle. I just was trying to think of something that seemed more accurate to it as far as like an insect type creature, but I could not think of anything. Not really much at all. I know there's a few ideas, but they did not seem appropriate for something that's still going to be a fighting ship there. So I'm going to stick with the wasp, I think. It's going to be our support style ship. It seems alright there. Let me just delete this, because I don't think I need that anymore. Just delete forever. None shall know of the mistakes I've made to that ship. Except for everyone who tuned into this video. Just wipe all this from your memory. Please. So, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, I was going to gear it. I probably could have done that before, but then I wouldn't have my Mark 0 variant that I can use for uploading to Steam. So, obviously, first thing we want to do, missile disruptor. Where the hell do I want to put this thing? Obviously, that seems like just put it right there, right under the engines might be ideal. And if I'm not happy with it, I can just sink it into the component itself. If not there, then I can just sink it underneath into that little superstructure in front. It just sucks that everything's so dark, dim, and low light. It's kind of hard to see where I have it placed. Hell, I could rotate that. Wrong rotation. 90 degrees like this, and then I'll actually fit in relatively well. I just gotta make sure it's centered, that's all. And is that what I want? Is that synced in enough, or do I just want to scale it a little more? I'll adjust the axis a little bit. That way it's not intruding with the metal frame as much, so yeah. It is still a tiny bit off the axis though, which I don't think there's much I can do, but I'll try. Just quickly there. No, it does not look like it, and again, the lighting is horrible, I can hardly see. There we go. Yeah, that looks like the best I'm gonna get. So we'll leave that there. We got our missile disruption pod, which just is a generic box, nothing exciting. And the reason why I decided to make them a small ship is because apparently I can only get one per ship. So there is that. Now, do I want speed on this thing or not? I know I could put weapons on it, but is there any point to give this thing speed or not? It's more to support other ships rather than actually get somewhere quickly. It's really the notion there. And I don't want that pod to be that big. Let's shrink that down a little bit, shall we? Although it looks that is like a pimple of some sort. It sticks out like a sore thumb almost. I think, and it's probably because of the metal frame. Well, either that or it's either have it in the metal frame or just not in there at all. So, That's awkward. I know what to do. If it'll allow me to do this. I'll just put it on these wings here. Scaled appropriately, of course. Because then it fits in there a little bit. Yep, that works nicely. Flows in nice. It's in the middle of all these lanes, which look like power terminals or power conduits towards it. So that fits nicely. Or heck, if I really want to, I could just put it on the edge of those little gaps there, which actually would have worked out decently too. So it's got the armor. We got 57 hull remaining. And I know the moths and everything else I didn't really go full out with. What was this? With the mask, so maybe I can do that for this thing. So the question becomes, do I use sensors on it or not? Hell, sensors are kind of pointless because I'm due for an upgrade version, it looks like, so maybe that's not a good idea. All I get is 2 additional sensor range, which isn't that exciting. We got stellar support, which of course is limited by whatever ship has the lowest support range, so I don't care for that. I think... this is an interesting question. Do I go particle beam, make it more costly, or go with the lasers to kind of minimize that cost? That is an interesting question. Because mainly all I want them for is for the defense. The defense field, and that's really it. Do I care about the weaponry that it has to offer? It probably doesn't hurt to have the extra particle beams, because of course it is going to be taking up logistics. It could have been more like more beetles, essentially. Question is, where the hell do I put them? I can try one there. I'll have to... I don't know if I want them out, per se, to be showing. Because obviously that's way too big. For like a Corvette ship. And just see if it can fit anywhere. Sticks out a little bit. Maybe if I invert the textures. That's not bad. Not the best, because that little bit of orange that's there, but it works. I like it. I just don't know. Do I want the energy power to stick out or not? Okay, that flows in there nicely. Again, not perfect, but it flows in there nicely. And I can have one more there. Just stick it out the tip of the nose. Again, I don't know if I want to go full out because it's gonna boost the maintenance cost quite a bit relatively quickly. Nah, I'm really starting to question this some. Because it's probably cheaper just to throw more on there. Because if I were going to make use of the full mass there, I would use it for more military weapons. Or was it more like support logistics weapons? So this is going to be interesting. I'm fine with the one particle beam at least, but it's going to start getting costly really quickly there, having multiple of them. Until I start getting research that kind of reduces it further. I just really hate how that laser, like, that one part of it there is like sticking out oddly. And I think that's okay as is. Oh, it's backwards. Hell, no one be the wiser. It's the Kryklon's brand new type of weapon. The reverse polarizer. Nah, stupid name, I know. I'm not very good at this naming business, as I'm sure people already notice. Because for God's sakes, I named this thing the Wasp. I'll just sink that in there, maybe. Let's see, is that upside down? Yeah, it's upside down now, so... I'll just leave it that, like, a little tiny tip of the laser is actually sticking out, so... That's fine. But again, I'm limited on... It's really, what can I do with all these slots? Maybe I do... Yeah, maybe I want to put engines on here after all. Because these don't really take up maintenance as size for ion drive. Maybe that's what I want to do. Not exactly what I want to put on there. Or wait, is there... Maybe there's other support stuff I can use. Oh, that's Promethean. So yeah, I can't use either of those anyway, and that's titanium, so never mind that thought. How about... Yeah, maintenance costs for sensors, which I don't think I care for. It would be the best use, though. But engines take no maintenance, so... I'll go with that. Scale that down. And it conveniently can fit right in there if I want this to stick out or not. Not the best, mind you, but... maybe I do want it to stick out. It just sticks out. Yeah, it's actually kind of a bit of a sore thumb, isn't it? So maybe... I'll just hide that component there. I don't need that engine there showing. Maybe I'll get a better looking one. Otherwise, still the engine sticks out a little bit there. I'm relatively happy with it. So this is our Wasp, all ready to go. We're gonna have to find out, see if it does what I expect of it. Thank you for tuning in. Once I change this back to a support, damn it.